Such a person has never been forgiven, which made even the slightest move to get out of the global interest rate financial system and the global exchange rate of counterfeit paper currency. Show your eyes even for a moment or tell by putting eyes in the eyes of this economic thug. He must have gone back after that. Try your best to be a good kid too. But even this small attempt at liberation from the shackle of the world is not forgiven and is made a symbol. Imran Khan has no resemblance to Gaddafi in this matter. Nor did Saddam Hussein because he had all wealth and he wanted to separate that wealth from the dollar empire. The punishment for which was a humiliating death for both of them. One was dragged through the streets and bazaar, and the other was humiliated by shameless judges. It is a different matter that the video of Saddam Hussein before he was hanged has commanded him for centuries. Imran Khan, Pakistan and its resources. The way politicians have indebted this country to hard work, even the slightest mistake of such a country is unforgivable. In fact, this story of Pakistan bears a striking resemblance to an economically weak country like Greece. Since the beginning of the 21st century, both countries have been embroiled in the IMF program, suffering from severe economic problems. In a short span of time, parties seeking to emerge from the economic crisis came to power in both countries seeking change. In Greece in 2015 and in Pakistan in 2018, there were prime ministers who dared to refuse and were returned to the people. The prime minister who came to power in both the countries, Alex Tsipras of Greece and Imran Khan of Pakistan, did not carry out any such coup. For just a few months, they talked eye to eye with the IMF about the sovereignty and economic independence of their respective countries. The punishment for this conversation was so severe that today both are in opposition. The two prime ministers were also forced to reconcile under the circumstances of the country and their respective establishments and were silent. But both of them were not forgiven for standing for a few moments with pride and freedom. These few moments of honor and respect were led by the finance minister of both the countries, Greek finance minister Yas Varoufakis and Pakistani Asad Umar. Both were not traditional politicians. Yas Varoufakis began teaching at the university after earning a PhD in economics, and Asad Umar made his way to the corporate world after doing his MBA. Both were among the highest paid people in their respective countries before entering politics. Asad Umar's salary was about 69 millions a year. Alex Tsipras' government came to power in Greece in January 20. At the time, Greece was going through its worst economic crisis. The situation was the shopkeeper was not willing to sell the deal in Greek currency. They used to say, "Bring something from home. We will give you a bargain in return." Alex Tsipras' government, like Imran Khan, was a weak coalition government. As soon as he came to power, he appointed Yans Varoufakis as his finance minister. It was necessary for the government to carry on its business that the Greek government should negotiate for the expansion of the IMF program. Greece was similarly plugged into debt by its predecessors like Benazir, Nawaz Sharif, and Zardari in Pakistan. The European Union, especially the German banker, borrow on such extremely strict terms, due to which the country was plugged into economic slavery. The IMF program also actually protects the interests of these bankers. Fighting broke out on a daily basis with Yunus Varoufak's IMF official. He was constantly advised by the IMF that you make your future come for a few years and you are worried about the nation. You agree to our terms, borrow more from European banks to borrow and enjoy for a while, but your country will be happy and your party reputation will grow, which will make its politics more popular. There was an alliance of lending groups called the Truska. He increased the pressure on the finance minister through the world power that he should accept their terms, but he did not agree to Greece's economic suicide. Finally, on June 25, 2015, a group of European bankers placed a paper in front of him, giving him a final ultimatum in which first, tax proposal, second, reform agenda, and third, the investment formula were listed. He called the formula economic suicide for Greece. The world power, on the other hand, created division within the party through their purchased member of the assembly in order to put pressure on its prime minister. And the member of the assembly formed separate parliamentary groups under pressure from Greece's richest people and politicians. The prime minister announced a referendum the day after the EU proposal. The referendum was on whether you accept the terms of the IMF and European Bank. That's where folks began presiding people to vote no in this referendum. He said he would resign from the finance minister if the bill passed. He took part in televised and address rallies. Despite all his hard work, the Greek people reject his formula with 62% of the vote, and Prime Minister Alexander Tsipras, who appointed himself Minister of Finance, he won. After his resignation, Jan's folks said that he had submitted his resignation to the Prime Minister on the night of the referendum because he believed that the referendum was held out of fear of the world power. Yanis Varoufakis left the ministry. In contrast, Prime Minister Alex Tsipras was listed by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. The story of Imran Khan and Asad Umar is similar. When Asad Umar first visited the United States, so he started arguing with the IMF like the Greek finance minister Yanis Varoufakis. The Greek finance minister had been warned by world financial power against this insolence. Asad Umar was explained. He did not agree. This insolence of Asad Umar was by no means acceptable to him. He wanted Pakistan to continue borrowing like Greece. Asad Umar did not do that.
Yunus Varoufakis was ousted just 6 months later and Asad Umar 8 months later. In place of Asad Umar, the establishment brought its servant Hafiz Sheikh. Just as the Greek Prime Minister was frightened by the economic crisis, the country's establishment, similarly, Imran Khan was constantly intimidated. Unexperienced and naive Imran Khan got dizzy. Everything agreed, but neither the Greek Prime Minister nor Imran Khan's mistake has been forgiven to date. Today, both are in opposition.